Hi there, boys and girls. Welcome back to Camp Do Right. I have a question for you. What is the definition of happiness? If I were to ask you, what are some things that make you happy? What would you say to me? Maybe some of you might say that puppies make you happy, or going on trips with your family. Maybe birthday parties make some of you happy, or getting lots of presents. Maybe some of you would say that spending time with your friends makes you happy, or doing one of your favorite hobbies like painting, singing, or music makes you happy. Our character trait today is called Finding True Happiness. And the two boys in our story discover how to find true happiness, kind of accidentally. They weren't really meaning to or even trying to. But they learned a really valuable lesson that they never forgot again. I call today's story The Secret of Happiness. Matthew called Joe in great excitement. Guess what? It's going to snow. Finally! It's all over the forecast. Man, I thought we'd never see this day. Yes! Joe hollered. You know what that means. We better start building those sleds we said we were going to make. It has to be finished by that first snowfall. You want to come over after you're done with your schoolwork tomorrow? We can work in my dad's shed. That sounds great, Matthew said. I'll check with my parents and let you know at school tomorrow. During math class the next day, Matthew leaned over to Joe. Got the yes from the parents. I'll be over later. The boys worked hard on their sleds, sawing, planing, and hammering. It took a week to perfect their sleds, but they finished just in time for the predicted snowfall. The boys were so excited that they could hardly sleep the night before. As soon as it was morning, each of the boys jumped out of their beds and rushed to the window. Nope, no snow yet. All day at school they waited, and back at home they waited for the snow to fall, but nothing came. They went to bed hoping the snow would come tomorrow. But there was no snow the next day, or the next, or the next. They kept waiting and waiting. A whole week went by, then another week, but there was still no sign of snow. And their two finished sleds sat there in the shed with nothing to slide them on. Oh, that is so disappointing. I remember when I was a school teacher, teachers and students both looked forward to snow days because that meant no school and lots of snow fun. But whenever it didn't snow when everyone was expecting it, we all were super disappointed. Have you ever looked forward to something that badly, only to be disappointed as well? It's a hard experience, isn't it? Even adults have a hard time dealing with disappointment sometimes. Poor boys, I hope that snow comes quickly. Well, school closed for Christmas break, and still there was no snow. Day after day went by, cold and wet. The boys began to wish that they had never built those sleds. But things were about to change really quickly. Christmas Eve arrived, and with it came a sudden change in the weather. The rain stopped, the temperature plunged, and a strong wind began to blow. Oh, something's gonna happen tonight, Joe said as he went to bed that night. And he was right. The next morning when the boys woke up, they gasped at the sight in front of them. The sun was sparkling on top of what looked like a winter wonderland. A heavy snowfall had covered the whole landscape with a glorious white blanket. There must have been a foot of snow in some places. As soon as the boys were done with breakfast, they grabbed their sleds and headed over to each other's house, meeting in the middle. They high-fived each other and started hollering with excitement. Man, I thought the snow was never going to come, Matthew said, falling backwards into the snow. Joe laughed and threw a snowball at Matthew. You and me both. Oh, I feel like we've waited forever for the snow. Let's head over to the park and slide down that one huge hill. Matthew jumped up from the snow. Yeah, let's go. As the boys started walking down the street, dragging their sleds behind them, their school friends started shouting to them, wanting to join in on the fun. Hey, can we come too and get a ride on those sleds? Joe and Matthew laughed. Sorry guys, not today. You've no idea how long we've been waiting for this. Steve from their class called out, Hey, come on man, just let us use one of your sleds. Joe threw a snowball at him. Yeah, right, you should have made one of your own. They kept going. They passed by the house of Ralph. Ralph was lame and couldn't walk, so he had to spend most of his time in a wheelchair. He waved from the window. Have fun, guys! They waved back. Thanks, Ralph. Joe turned to Matthew. Man, that was nice of him. It must be hard being in that wheelchair all the time. I mean, it's not like he can just go out and sled like we can. They passed by a few more of their friends who also asked if they could come along. But those friends received the same answers that their other buddies got earlier. Sorry, guys, not today. Joe and Matthew have had to say no to a lot of friends. I think if I were them, I'd start feeling a little bad by now. I mean, I know they waited a long time for snow, but don't you think they should have been willing to share at least a little bit? Well, apparently Joe and Matthew didn't think so. They felt like they deserved to enjoy their sleds all by themselves, especially after waiting so long. Well, they finally got to their hill and the fun began. Swish! They sped down the hill, yelling in excitement. They ran back up and slid down again, gliding across the beautiful snow. Up and down, the boys raced their sleds. After a while, however, Joe noticed a change starting to come over Matthew's face. What's up, Matt? Joe asked, showing some concern as they climbed the hill together, this time a little bit more slowly. Matthew shook his head. I don't know, I can't put my finger on it. I guess I'm not getting as much fun out of this as I thought I would. That's interesting, Joe said, because I'm not either. I mean, it is fun. I don't know. I guess I just don't feel right. I wonder why. Huh. How interesting that we both feel that way, Matthew said. Joe nodded slowly. I know, right? They both sat on their sleds and slid down again. On their way back up the hill, Joe blurted, I think I know what's the matter. Yeah? Matthew asked. Yeah, Joe said. I keep thinking about Ralph. Me too, Matthew exclaimed. And Steve and all the other kids who wanted to come. We shouldn't have left them behind. I mean, I feel bad. That was kind of mean and selfish of us, wasn't it? Yeah, It pretty much was, Joe said. They were silent as they climbed the hill again. What do you say? Last slide? Joe asked. Yeah, I think I'm done, Matthew agreed. As they started home, Joe spoke up. I have an idea. Let's make this right. After lunch, let's round up everybody and take them all sledding. Matthew nodded. Awesome! I like the sound of that. Oh, those guys are in for a treat. After lunch, there was quite a group of excited kids gathered at the hill. They all started shouting when they saw Joe and Matthew with their sleds. Yay! Hooray! I want to go first, Steve yelled. Me too, someone else shouted. Joe and Matthew divided the group in two. They put 2 to 3 people on each sled and gave them a hard push down the hill. Screams and shrieks started filling the air. Wow, this is awesome! Man, these sleds are fast! All afternoon, Joe and Matthew pushed their friends down the hill, and what a difference from earlier that day. Joe and Matthew had more fun than they could have possibly dreamed of. After hours and hours of snow fun, when it was finally time to head home, Joe and Matthew dragged their sleds behind them, having learned a truly important lesson. They had discovered the secret to true happiness. I like how that story ended. It reminds me of the verse found in Acts 20:35 that says, "It is more blessed to give than to receive." So the secret to true happiness was in putting self aside and thinking of others first. When we focus on giving happiness to others, then we ourselves will experience true happiness. I'm so glad that Joe and Matthew learned that secret, and I hope that all of you listening today did too. Well, boys and girls, that's it for our story. I have a song for you today that teaches a really important lesson about happiness. It's called Happiness Came Looking for Me. Are you ready to learn the song? Let's go. There are 10 sign words that I use in today's song that I will be teaching you today. The first word is jolly, joyful, happy, and happiness. They all mean the same thing. The second word is feeling. You bend your middle finger, feeling. This is how you are feeling. The third word is satisfied, satisfied. The fourth word is hunting. The fifth word is serving, serving. The sixth word is last. You get your pinkies out? Last, last. The seventh word is deep down. The eighth word is everlasting. You spin your finger and you push out with your Y hand. Everlasting, everlasting. The ninth word is busy. And the last word is forgot. So the first word is jolly, joyful, happy, happiness. Second word is feeling. Third word is satisfied. Fourth word is hunting. Fifth word is serving. Sixth word is last. Seventh word is deep down. Eighth word is everlasting. Ninth word is busy, and the 10th word is forgot. Okay, let's get ready to start our song. I was looking for a jolly, joyful feeling to bring happiness inside. Though I searched with all my heart, I still felt empty. I was never satisfied. Then happiness came looking for me. When I started giving happiness to others, happiness came hunting me down. When I started to help with all the needs around, serving Christ and putting self last brought me deep down everlasting happiness. I was busy giving, you see, so happiness came looking for me. I gave up on finding happiness and feelings and got busy for my Lord. I forgot myself and started helping others and delighted in God's word. Then happiness came looking for me. When I started giving happiness to others, happiness came hunting me down. When I started to help with all the needs around, serving Christ and putting self last brought me deep down everlasting happiness. I was busy giving, you see, so happiness came looking for me. Happiness came looking for me. Today's vocabulary words are landscape and plunged. A. Landscape. A section of land that can be seen from one place. B. Plunged. To descend or dip suddenly. Which one of these words describe what the boys saw when they looked out their window in the morning? Did you say A, landscape? That's correct. The snow had covered the landscape, making everything they saw look white and clean. The long-awaited snow finally came after the temperature plunged. Okay, boys and girls, it's time to head over to our application station for our character check. Follow me. Welcome back to our application station, boys and girls. Today's character check is another challenge round. I call it the Happiness Challenge Round. Want to find out more about it? Follow me. So let's face it. Everyone loves to be happy. In fact, people will do anything or try anything to make themselves happy. Boys and girls often find themselves thinking and wishing for different things that they think will make them happy. So that's where challenge number 1 comes in. I call it the Rethink Challenge. This is how it works. I'm going to give you 8 things that kids often think will make them happy. Then we're going to spin the wheel and see how we can rethink these things. Are you ready? Number 1, being popular. Number 2, wishing you were the best at everything. Number 3, having a lot of friends. Number 4, having the coolest toys and gadgets. Number 5, having lots of clothes. Number 6, being beautiful. or handsome. Number 7, being good at sports. And number 8, getting a lot of attention. All cool things, right? But the thing is this, even if you did have all these things that were listed, you still wouldn't be truly happy because when you focus on self, no one is truly happy. So here's your first challenge. Whenever you find yourself wishing or wanting something that you don't have, spin the rethink wheel and reroute your thinking process. What do I mean? Let's take a look and spin that wheel. Number 1, instead of focusing on being popular, focus on being thankful. Because when you're in a thankful frame of mind, it really won't matter if you're popular or not. Number 2, instead of wishing you were the best at everything, focus on being the best that you can be, because that's enough. Number 3, instead of wishing you had a lot of friends, focus on being a good friend. Number 4, instead of wanting to have the best and coolest toys and gadgets, learn to be happy with the simple things in life. Number 5, instead of wanting prettier clothes, dress the inner person with kindness, compassion, and love. Number 6, instead of focusing on outward beauty, focus on beauty of heart. Remember, man sees the outside, but God sees the heart. Number 7, instead of wishing you were the best at sports, focus on being a good sport. Win fairly and lose graciously. Number 8, instead of trying to do things to get people's attention, seek out those who are never noticed and say a kind word to them. Remember, when you focus on yourself, it's really hard to be happy. But when you focus on others and spin that rethink wheel, happiness will come and find you. Okay, let's move on to challenge number 2. A lot of kids sit around waiting for someone or something to make them happy, and then complain about being unhappy. Well, I say, take charge of your own happiness. Round 2 is what I call the bubble challenge. Does this next situation sound like you at all? Sometimes you sit down and compare yourself to your friends. You feel really unlucky. You don't have the nicest clothes. You don't have the best house. You don't have a lot of things that your friends have. They're better than you at almost everything, and your family can't even go on regular vacations like they can because you have 3 other siblings and traveling gets super expensive. Whenever you compare yourself to your friends, you find yourself getting more and more unhappy, and you wish that things in your life were different. Pretty tough, right? I mean, how can anyone be happy under those circumstances? Well, it's called a challenge round for a reason. Everyone has 2 bubbles. One is the happiness bubble, and one is the unhappiness bubble. It's really easy for the unhappiness bubble to grow. In fact, sometimes it grows without us even knowing it's growing. And being in a situation like the one I just read makes that unhappiness bubble ginormous, hugacious, gargantuous. You get the idea. But what can you do when you feel that unhappiness bubble beginning to grow larger and larger and larger? Here's where the next challenge comes in. I challenge you to use the following 2 needles to stop it and pop it. Needle number 1, stop comparing. If you keep comparing yourself to others, you will never, ever, 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 ever be happy, because there will always be someone who has it better than you. The minute you find yourself beginning to compare, that unhappy bubble begins to grow. So, pull out needle number 1 and stop comparing. You can sing this song instead. It's one of my favorite scripture songs. I have learned in whatsoever state I am. That means whatever situation you're in, therewith to be content, or satisfied. Philippians 4 verse 11. I have learned in whatsoever state I am, therewith to be content. Philippians 4 verse 11. Stop comparing and be content. Here's needle number 2. Count your blessings. Count your blessings. That reminds me of another song I used to sing while growing up. Gotta love those songs. Count your blessings, name them one by one. Count your blessings, see what God has done. Count your blessings, name them one by one. Count your many blessings, see what God has done. You have many, oh, so many blessings all around you. God has given you so many things to be grateful for. So when you feel that unhappiness bubble growing and growing, count your blessings and pop that bubble. Challenge number 3 is what I call the target challenge. We've learned that the more we focus on ourselves, the more unhappy we become. But the minute we start focusing on other people, happiness comes looking for us. So, here's challenge number 3. I want each of you to pick 3 people in your life, they can be whoever you want them to be, that you want to make happy this next week. I want you to think about things that you can do for them, or kind words that you can say to them, or different ways that you can surprise them and just brighten up their day. Think of these 3 people as your target board, and you're the archer just shooting arrows of happiness towards them. Doing this target challenge whenever you're feeling blue or down will be one of the surest ways to be happy, because it takes the focus off of you and puts it on others. Okay, boys and girls, be sure you check your heart and check your mind and do the rethink challenge, the bubble challenge, and the target challenge often. If you do this, you'll find that happiness bubble growing larger and larger and larger, filling your life with joy. Well, boys and girls, that's it for today. Remember, doing right means making the wise choice every single moment of every single day. Hope to see you again next time. Bye.